Hello, welcome to Rite TV Family Altar. This is where we build strong marriages, we nurture meaningful relationships, and we have strong families for a strong nation. Join us as we have conversations around family, about relationships, about how to live a meaningful life. Because at Family Altar, we believe that strong families lead to strong communities and lead to transformed nations. I am your host, Beat Baingana Bisangwa, and in the studio with me is Reverend Dr. Jesper Tumuhimbise, CEO, Church Commissioner Holdings Company. And the topic today is around evolving gender and family dynamics. As you have all witnessed, we are coming from a traditional mindset and worldviews, and we are coming into modernity and post-modernity, and there are changes that have happened, and there are ways that we change, and there are ways that we don't change, and we want to continue living the way we have traditionally lived. And so we are going to have conversations around how this is happening and the implications and the consequences and the benefits of the changes and the conservative mind. In the studio with me is Reverend Dr. Jesper Tumuhimbise, CEO, Church Commissioner Holding Company. You're welcome.
Thank you so much,
yes.
My friend Beat.
Yes.
Greetings to you viewers.
Thank you. And you know, today we have a hot topic.
Very hot.
Yes, very.
And for some families, it is still hot.
It's still hot.
Yes.
It never changes.
Yes.
Okay. So Reverend, I was suggesting that you first watch this small clip.
Right.
And you'll see it's very interesting. And from there, we'll have a conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
Bana. Mukulikeyo. Sebo. Nati kusanyukidde.
Nange sense mama. Era denyabo.
Sibyo mtie.
Munange.
Abeka.
Balunjiko bwepo mweno.
Nafe bwetu kyo munange.
Mukulikeyo eyo.
Tuluddeyo mu nnimiro.
Waabo.
Kati kanyangwe mbaterekete emisana bana.
Oh.
Ekale. Mbolo. Muli mutyani.
Nkale munange. Bulungi. Muli mutyeyo. The girls have grown up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are eating well. Nakalyango. Wanji chibe.
Wanji tata.
Wange, obali wefulukutana biki? You go and prepare for us some tea.
For me, a glass of water will be enough.
Sure?
Yes.
Those are bagatumye dole. Mind these girls,
yes.
If you do not back at them, tebayina magezi tebawulira.
Really?
Mitwe mikalo gubalinga gwa nnyabo. I do not play with girls here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You are most welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Daddy, I'm requesting something. I need a geography book.
I know. Wambade, you gave me your list. Kali. My hair bwinyinza okumma sente. That is for the textbook.
Ati duka ma.
Pocket money.
My hair with money. Kali, thank you.
Omwana omuwadde sente nyingi taata mwanje fe tugenda kulya ki?
Wange. Since when ngondaba mukama? Gonsajjawo kye nkozesa sente zange.
Nedda ssebo bansonyiwe.
Mr. Kalyango.
Yes, sir.
Why is it that the boy is going to school and the girls are seated here?
Mr. Nkambwe, how can you ask such a question? Who tells you girls are to be educated?
Hey.
Me, I cannot waste my money educating girls. Because after all, they are going to be married.
Really?
Yes. What we have to do is to prepare them for marriage. And the good thing is, you get bride price in return. Tokarabako.
Mr. Kalyango, how could you reason like that in this modern era?
Look here, Mr. Nkambwe. Labe no gu, Mr. Nkambwe. When you educate a girl child, she thinks that she is untouchable and she will not be submissive to her husband. Yes, that's why I married an uneducated woman who obeys my orders.
No, Mr. Kalyango. Personally, I married an educated woman. She's working, she's earning money, and she obeys my orders. And we are very happy.
You see her? Me, I cannot allow my wife to work and earn money. Her duty is to look after the gardens and the kitchen. And when it comes to harvesting, we harvest, I sell, and I keep the money. Chimanyi, a woman who has money is uncontrollable.
No, Mr. Karyango. That's a wrong perception. Are you a careful man?
Reverend, how did you find that clip? Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
My goodness.
And absurd.
At
Because
the
it's
same
still
time.
happening.
Yes.
Because in terms of education, it evolved from no education at all for both gender, boys and girls. Then later, the boy you would hate, you would send to school. Now,
Imagine.
especially I'm talking from the African context.
Yes.
No education at all first. Then later, the one you hate, you send to school.
That's
the one you love, you send to look after cows. Then later, especially when revival began, revivalists saw that I need to send my children to school. And that happened at around 1935. But slightly before that, it was actually, even if there was education, it cannot be for a girl. Now, revival changed it a bit. For those revivalists, all genders went to school. In fact, nobody, according to what I have read in the East African revival, most girls who went to school came from revival families. Those who had no revival, experience would only send the boy. And one boy, not all of them.
Okay, Doctor, I want you to talk about that, speaking to the revival, because some people might not know.
Yeah,
what
so
you're
for
talking
revival,
about.
East African revival
Yes.
is the wave of the spirit that began in Gahini.
Yes.
And then later, people exploded with the spirit. And that's when they began knowing education for all my children, health for all my children, hygiene, body hygiene matters for God. And so for them, they exploded and sent their daughters and sons to schools. That's why today, when you check the cream of society, they mainly come from those who actually were revivalists. Now, those who never appreciated revival or had that experience, now they would send 1 or 2 sons to school. And there is one I met and I asked him that if you had school fees for one child, and this is now in modern times, and we sometimes think this is before computers, but even today, there are those ones, if you had school fees for 2 children, you would just get one for the boy child. Why? Because in African culture, the boy is a symbol of power. A symbol of inheritance, a symbol of sustainability, and a symbol of generation. Then the girl is a symbol of bride price, as we saw, and a symbol of she will go away and join
another
even
family.
Potential enemies, because you would fight. Yeah, so that's the absurdity of this clip. And as I said, it still goes on, because we have what they call an agrarian society that is patriarchal. Patriarchal means we honor the man and begin thinking that these girl children are actually like property, which will go away once. And yet, when you read it properly, if you educate a man, you have educated one person. Educate a lady, you have educated a nation.
Thank you, Reverend. Yes. I want to take you back a little bit. You said when a man loved the son, he would send the son to the field.
Yes,
to look
after cows, look after
and then
gardens.
The ones they loved less or even didn't like,
send it to school. It was like a prison. Because you see, traditionally, the agrarian society is main agriculture. It would define a person by wealth they have through either cows or through what they get out of crops. Now the one you hated, you would just send it to prison And the only prison available that time
School.
was an education center, primary school. So those ones who were hated long ago actually began studying compared to those who were like, actually even today, there are some traditions. The one I know in Western Uganda, where an old man will say, I love you, so don't go to school.
Really?
Yes. As a sign of love.
Wow, as a sign of love.
Yes.
You stay near me here.
Stay near
work
me.
with me.
When I grow old, you'll be the one to
take
look
care
after
of
me. Even absurdly, there is even about 3 families I know.
Yes.
A boy gets an education, then when they finish, they are consigned to the village to look after their fathers, whatever that looking after means. And it is as if this boy child or even this girl child never went to school. And therefore, that's what they call control.
Wow,
Cultures which control. So that's a real controversy. That yes, the girl child is hard hit, but even some cultures hit both. But of course, the girl child now, if you hit the boy, then the girl will hit more.
You can imagine double hitting.
Yes.
But let me ask you, Reverend. So now we see 2 men with completely different perspectives.
Yes.
They come from the same village, they are friends, maybe they grew up together.
Yes.
What makes one think in a certain way concerning these gender matters?
Yes.
And then another one thinks this way.
Yes.
One says, me, I value all the children, they are the same, and I think the girl and the boy should all go to school. And then the other one says, are you mad?
Yes.
Because this one, you know, and they are thinking differently. What influences that kind of thinking?
Yes, so there are 3 things. One, we call it enlightenment. Enlightenment. That you see, if I want to retain power, it isn't that I will retain it because of control. So I'm enlightened that I am a male by gender and empowered by God as a male, and therefore educating either of my children will not take away my maleness. So enlightenment. Then secondly, is the level in which the level of environment in which one is operating.
The environment.
We operated from a patriarchal society. Jasper Tumhimbi said, the one you are seeing, when I was in class, I would cry when a girl would defeat me.
Really? Because you had to defeat them.
Yes, and I would work hard to defeat all girls. Of course, at the end, that was good, but surely my working hard shouldn't be because I don't want a girl to defeat me in class. And there was one girl, Hope Tumukunde, she passed on. She would defeat me sometimes. And the next time I would read her. Why? Because I come from an environment that does not honor what? Honor girls and women. Then the final thing is this, that because some people haven't had exposure, that actually this girl child will help me in old age. Now, let me talk to men now. If you are listening to me,
yes, I think look in the camera
properly.
And
listen properly.
Yes, please.
The only gender that you look after you properly in your old age are your daughters, and this one is not
proven.
I mean, out of my experience, my father-in-law stays at home for now 9 years, and it is because of my wife. Then my mother, I mean, if it wasn't my wife and my sisters looking after her very well. For us, we provide money. But you know, money is not a solution to everything, including comfort. But these girls will actually look after you when you are old. So that's what I call ignorance. That you see, through exposure, you know that for generations to come, some gender is more variable than what we think is variable. So as time went on, this issue of don't send a girl to school ended. You rather send your girl because your boy can go anytime. And that's what is actually happening to those who are now exposed. But this other man, I guess, had totally no exposure.
Totally no exposure.
Yes.
I have come to realize, Reverend, that man's enemy is more of ignorance than even the devil.
Exactly.
Because what you don't know will kill you. What you don't know will kill you.
And you see, that's why the devil promotes ignorance. That actually, to tell you that you are waiting for bride price. There is a canon called in Katombozi. They wanted bride price from the daughter. I read from his book, from the wife. And he came to Buganda. For 2 years, he tried to get bride price. He got just a half. And so they just gave him a woman. Please continue working so that you pay bride price. When he produced a child, a girl child, he was so happy and he said, she's called Komuchaya. Komuchaya, for those who do not know Nyankole Ruchiga, is that I will get cows from this person. After 8 years, that girl died. The father was devastated. But listen to this nice story. That's why I like revival.
Yes.
Revival is including Kakudidi, Chitomomo, Rutamwebwa, and I'm talking about people. Then Kajendagura, people from Ankwale, whom others know. They came together and said, you can't overcry. He said, no, I was waiting for bride price from this girl. And one family came out and said, no, we are going to pay you bride price. And they paid him. And that's where he got cows from.
Can you imagine?
And so those people would value. That's why revival, they would value the girl child. That actually this bride price is a source of wealth to even educate your son. But then when you take your son to education and you do not have money, even from your in-laws, and by the way, the higher the education, the more the bride price. And I'm using the word bride price even when
intentionally.
It is intentionally. But the higher the education, the more you are able to extract.
Imagine.
And then when she hasn't gone to school, then they will pay lesser cows. And so exposure actually even includes that, to know that this is a human being created in the image of God, Imago Dei, that female and male were all in the image of God, and therefore we shall all consume oxygen, eat food, drink water, then also access health and education the same way.
You know, for me, this issue of bride price is really, it brings me so much agony. And we have had 2 of our daughters get married.
Yes.
And we've not taken anything.
Amen.
Because you have said...
Mine hasn't, and I won't get.
Because we've said these are
In
2
fact,
young people. Yes. They are 2... We helped also the boy in his wedding. Yes. Because his family was a bit less, one of them.
Yes.
And we said these are 2 young people who are starting out in life.
Yes.
They are starting at the same time. They are both our children. It's not even like our daughter is going. No. We are also gaining a boy. So I get what you mean when you say enlightenment.
Yes.
When you begin to understand what life is about and the value of a human being,
yes.
Whether male or female,
yes.
Because God created them so that both can reflect His glory in a masculine and feminine way. So, yes. And all of them have same value. You know, same. They are not same, but they have same value.
And then that later, even the girl is more helpful.
That one.
And of course, I'm doing now a research on polygamy.
Yes.
I think my next research will be about.
We should have a discussion on polygamy.
Yes, I am willing.
I
have already established a research.
Okay. Now, Reverend, I want you to speak into that still revival. What is it about revival that makes somebody value the boy and the girl equally? You tell us those principles that make us...
And I wrote an article about it. Number 1 is the image of God. Yes. When you read the Bible, you'll know that any gender is the image of God. That's number 1. That basically any child I have is created in the image of God. My wife is created in the image of God.
Yes.
So abusing is not possible, because this business
you
of taking a woman like a cow, no.
Yes.
She's created in the image of God. And the way you handle her is the way I handle God. That's number 1. Then number 2, they would read that like Job. And it is interesting. Job had 10 children, 3 girls and 7 boys. And the Bible says, Job chapter 42, that he gave out equal gifts to all.
Equal.
Meaning if you read it, you'll begin becoming like Jasper. That the 4 children I have are 4 children.
There are 4 children, not a boy or girl.
There is no gender in my children.
You are enlightened.
In fact,
Reverend.
that's it. That you see the Bible does that. I read recently, and you can read Esther chapter 8. The king gives Esther all the estate of Haman. He's giving to a lady. You get it. All the estate was handed over to Esther. Esther simply handed over to Mordecai. Meaning, there is clarity in the Bible that women would actually have what? Inheritance.
Inheritance, yes.
Then the education system from the West was driven by both men and women.
Yes.
And wherever revival went, therefore, they would encourage all children to go to school. Or, in fact, I read in an article where if a boy went alone, they would ask him, do you have a sister at home? And then, through that, they would have what they call affirmative action.
Yes.
That's why Gayaza is as old as other schools.
They wanted to
that you have
yes.
King's College, Bodo,
yes.
but you also have a
An
Gayaza
equalizer.
for something to equalize, so that these men have proper ladies to marry. And of course, we shall come to it
We shall come to
in
that
the
point.
near future.
Yes.
But we are dealing with the fact that revivalists now began getting enlightened. That, by the way, my girl will be better when they are educated. But also, and this is like the final bit, that for revivalists, life mattered. Life. That if my life matters, my daughter's life matters. And I would want her to read the Bible I'm reading even better. I mean, I had a grandfather who couldn't read, and daughters were reading for him. When I was also growing up, I would read the Bible for my mother who couldn't read.
That is awesome.
You get it?
Reverend.
That now you must, that this life matters, let them go so that they begin reading for me. And I also have a revivalist at home who sent his daughters to Kampala. By the way, the danger was, if you sent your daughters to education, they would think they would become mariahs. And so you can imagine the ridicule they would, attach to that. But when he sent the daughters to school, what I had, actually, they are my aunts. Many of them did so well, built for him now a better house. Would bring things on Christmas, and that's how the revival of sending girls to school, how it caught up. Because they were now seeing reality.
Yes.
That, by the way, it is not Mariah. These girls are developing the whole village. And yet they had also boys who were educated, but boys were really
more self-centered.
More self-centered
More
than
to the
Kampala.
side, Kampala side.
Not village boys.
I know,
Yes.
I know. You know, the Bible says that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free.
Yes.
So the more you know the truth, the more you get enlightened.
Exactly.
Because you get the mind of God. And you begin to think like God. Now, tell us, because you've told us that in God's eyes, both the girls and the boys have the same value.
Yes.
And they carry his image.
Yes.
And so when you look at life from that angle, then you're going to value them the same time. So where did things change? What went wrong? What went wrong? How do you get people to think contrary to what God intended them to think?
So the first thing is sin. Because Adam gets this lady and composes the first song, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, gives a name. She will be called Eve, woman. That's Genesis chapter 2, verse 23. But now after sin, and they ask him, Adam, where are you? It is interesting. He blames the woman.
The woman you put here with me.
Yes. And says, the woman you gave me, actually blaming God for bringing him trouble. The woman blames the snake, and I'm not going to the snake. So from that time, the battle of ages began between sexes.
Battle of sexes, yes.
And then, in fact, that's where now what they call dominance began.
Yes.
What they call you made me sin began. That's the blame game. And so when you see that,
yes.
and if, of course, our traditions do what? Totally now bring it together. Because traditional, again, now you have sin, but you also have tradition. That traditionally, it is a patriarchal society where men rule and dominate. women were like, not even subjects, objects. And
Property.
for some cultures
Property.
where you attend a wedding, you hear they are announcing more cows than. That's it. That for them, they talk about cows more than that lady who is wedding. And I normally look at them.
You listen say, in wonder.
Yes, and wonder. Okay. Do they really appreciate that they are giving away a gift? And so it continues like that. That traditionally they are patriarchal societies. Now there are few societies where there are queens. I mean.
Yes.
And when there is a queen, men are either drones and workers. I mean, they are also small. In the hyena industry, it is the queen mother who rules. And generally, men are either few or they are hunters. But then, when a man rules, all other men are subjects, and even the queen is a what? A subject. I would want to emphasize that when a man is ruling, every other man is a subject, including the woman. Now, because it is the woman, they are taken from subject to even what we call object. This is King Xerxes. He gets drunk and tells eunuchs, bring that lady. I showed
come
him.
And display.
Can you imagine?
Like you bring a beautiful horse or cow.
What are you doing? You are bringing an object to be seen.
Yes,
and of course, I read some Bible version saying that this lady, he wanted her to undress in front of visitors.
That's how they used to do. That's how they
for
used
them
to
see the beauty.
Yes.
Now,
and even dance.
In the same book, there is an Esther who tells the uncle Mordecai that I haven't seen him
for over a month.
For over a month. You are a wife, but because you are an object in a patriarchal society, to go to your husband, you need to make an application. Dear my husband, remember I saw you last month. Please allow me. And you see that thing, that wicked king. So that's what they call a patriarchal society. But within also patriarchal society, we had men like Boaz who would respect Ruth.
Yes.
This is a Moabite.
Yes.
She's a widow, but he would still respect her and says, thank you. And so we have now that what they call intricacies. That because we are patriarchal, then our eyes, our lenses remain patriarchal. Let me give an example.
From generation to generation.
I was gender blind also.
Tell us a bit about that.
And it was tough for me because I went to a school, we were checking, inspecting, and then we talked about lack of furniture, lack of what. I was with a lady from Denmark and she asked me, but is that the only problem just by your seeing? I said, yes. I said, no desks. Yeah, but she said, but there are few desks. I said, yes. Then she asked me, who is seated on the desk? I found out young men, young boys are seated on the desk. Girls who are old are seated down.
No.
And she opened my gender lens.
You had not seen
by
it.
the way, what is normal is abnormal. That when we are in churches or in communities, a woman will come and sit on the ground, and even when she's the chairperson.
Oh my goodness.
And then leave what? I mean,
this was your paradigm.
Yes, this is now my paradigm. It is normal for girls to sit down. It is normal. So we had also now toilets in the office. For us, we had a seat toilet for men, gents. Ladies had. And then the gender person came and told us, look here, this is a gender issue.
Oh my goodness.
That what men should occupy is occupied by ladies, what ladies should occupy. And it kept on opening my eyes.
To the truth that sets you free.
That sets me free. Yes. And I began now, even how I respond to my wife now. Yes. Originally, now these are gender issues also.
Yes.
Originally, she would call me, in Ruchiga we say nenchi. Now, when you say Nenchi, what is it?
So rude.
It is very normal in Ruchika. That's how we grew up. And Nenchi Madam, like, she would almost run away. Like but for us, that's normal. And they would do Nenchi Madam, but she told to me not to say Nenchi Madam.
You learn to go to revival and transformation.
How I had to read how to respond to a lady from another culture. But that's it. That you see we are groomed with certain lenses. And until when somebody actually opens up to the reality, it is tough to do what? Like that man in the clip, it is tough to change.
It is tough. A mindset. Somebody said that because the devil doesn't have many angels, you know, he went away with a third of demons. He doesn't have enough manpower to do evil. But if he can influence through culture, one generation, what can be passed on through the bloodline and mindset, he will have the whole culture, he will have generations. So, and that's what he has been doing over the years. And so we see, but now as we come to the end of this, I want you to speak again into the benefits of educating the girl. To this man who is struggling and thinking, and sending the boy, what can convince him that there is benefits to the girl herself, to himself, to the family, to the nation? Benefits.
And it has reminded me on my giveaway in 1997, 23rd of August. My father-in-law gave me a pen as a gift. A pen, an ordinary pen. And later I had to ask him, why are you giving me this pen? And he said, and I quote, my daughter finished diploma. Before I die, I want her to get a degree. Now, benefits of having a parent who is giving away, but asking somebody
that his
value
daughter,
on her. That he has been wishing for that daughter. Let me tell you, I couldn't sleep until when she got a degree. Even masters, I said, oh, please go. She refused it. That's her prejudice. But I did what I was told to do. So benefits are enormous. One, you marry a man like Jasper. I mean,
that's
a big benefit.
I know.
That if you never went to school,
you can get a man like Reverend Jasper.
If you went to school, you marry a man like Jasper.
Thank you so much.
Then secondly, you had a children whom you are nurturing. In other words, the next generation, to actually begin appreciating education, but also appreciating values of education. In other words, if I was educated and my wife is not, and of course we shall talk about it later, it could be tough for my children to get proper education. But then, as I said in the beginning, educate a man, you have educated one person.
Individual.
Educate a woman, you have educated the whole nation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting us understand that all children are equal in God's eyes. Boys, girls, they should all go to school, and when they are all educated, they benefit. You have also made us realize that the problem is the mindset, level of enlightenment, knowledge, understanding, and that really at the end of the day, educate a girl, you educate a nation. Okay, so this is Family Altar program, and we are so excited to learn that it is beneficial to educate both girls and boys, because both of them have equal value before God and they add value to society the same. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Jasper. God bless you.